NATO summits can be a tricky affair. When heads of state and government meet, unity or disunity between its members is always at full display. And now, with Russia's war on Ukraine, NATO finds itself facing new dilemmas. The Western military alliance was shaken by the threat of conventional wars creeping closer to its borders and impacting its members in unprecedented ways. But it's not just Russia that keeps NATO up at night. Emerging threats like cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and an assertive China have the alliance on high alert. Even potential attacks on critical infrastructures like pipelines or nuclear power plants have raised concerns after the Nord Stream explosion last year. So what will be on the table at the next NATO summit? Let's take a closer look. NATO leaders have to take big decisions this year that will forever change the way Europe's and North America's defense policy will look like. Leaders are expected to have discussions on three main issues. The first major issue on the agenda is the relationship between NATO and Ukraine. 15 years ago, members promised Ukraine it will one day become a member of the alliance. But when Ukraine unexpectedly applied for membership to NATO last year, it has left its members walking a very fine line. While they do support Ukraine's fight against Russia, they also recognize the risk of being dragged into a war if Ukraine were to become a full-fledged member of the alliance. So, how can they show solidarity without crossing that dangerous threshold? At the moment, Ukraine knows it is not becoming a member until after the war. But Eastern European members, like the Baltic countries, Poland and Romania, are pushing for a roadmap to prepare Ukraine the best way possible to move closer to NATO accession with benchmarks and timelines. For example, that means reaching standards or participating in military exercises. But not all members agree as to what that concretely means. Meanwhile, the alliance continues to expand, with Finland on board and calls for Sweden's swift inclusion.
All allies agree that Ukraine will become a member of NATO. We are not going to discuss an invitation at the Vilnius summit, but how we can move Ukraine closer to NATO. And I'm confident that we will find a good solution and consensus at the Vilnius summit on how to be able to move Ukraine closer to NATO.
Next, they will have to tackle the future of defense investments. Back in 2014, NATO members committed to spending 2% of their GDP on defense. But nearly a decade later, only a fraction of them have met this target. It is therefore now time to address the issue of burden sharing within the alliance. Some of the high-spending members are criticizing those underspending, saying they are endangering collective security. They even propose to increase national defense budgets up to 2.5% of GDP. However, others argue that the percentage alone does not reflect the true value of their contributions and ask to consider the national specificities and economic challenges. We will have to see what middle ground NATO can find. Last but not least, NATO allies will adopt new defense and deterrence plans on how to defend their territory if ever a member would be attacked. Plans will multiply by 7 the number of troops currently available under NATO's own command. At the moment, those are around 40,000. The change, compared to the current planning, is that in the future, there will be a total of 300,000 people on high readiness across the alliance.
Also, we need to keep our people safe in a more dangerous world. I expect NATO allies to make a more ambitious commitment to defense investment in Vilnius, with 2% of GDP for defense as a floor, not a ceiling.
Those forces, separated in different tiers, would be able to respond in a maximum of 30 days. The plans also spell out which troops and equipment will be assigned to handle which area of operation. In addition, NATO allies have already been pledging more to the eastern flank security by placing troops in those countries, such as Baltics and Romania, to help deter from any attack and be ready in case of aggression. So, how will Ukraine's path to NATO membership look like? How much money are the allies ready to spend for their defense? Are they ready to put 300,000 troops on high alert? Stay tuned at Euractiv for all summit coverage on the ground live from Vilnius.